Okay, good afternoon and welcome back to our Options Education webinar series. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Today we have a fairly special webinar. We're going to be talking about how to maximize OptionsPlay's tools and services. And we're doing this webinar because as OptionsPlay grows as a company, we're offering a larger set of services for various options traders. We're always trying to launch new services and products for different types of trading. And many of you utilize options in different ways. Some of you utilize them to generate income. Others utilize options as a tool to speculate or potentially even mitigate risks just for hedging. So we've created different tools to cater to different needs for traders. And today, what I really want to make sure everyone understands is to really explore the education and tools that we've made available to subscribers to make sure you're getting the maximum use of the money that you're spending here with us. So today, I want to spend a little time going through each of the services, detailing to you kind of why we created them, how to go about utilizing them correctly so that you get the maximum value from your subscription here at OptionsPlay. So let's go ahead and get started here today. At the core of OptionsPlay is our technology platform. So I want to do a quick overview of the OptionsPlay Ideas platform, as well as the portfolio tool that we use to keep track of our DailyPlay ideas. For those of you that track our DailyPlay trades and our daily ideas, I want to break down the delivery of them, make sure everyone understands how to read them correctly, how to utilize them correctly, so that you're trading them in the most efficient manner, so that you're utilizing our ideas in an intelligent way. And then for those of you that utilize OptionsPlay for income, we publish weekly cover calls and short put reports. So if any of you ever trade cover calls or cash secured puts, we send out these weekly reports for you so that you can see what are opportunities to generate the highest amount of yield across the top 100 stocks. So I want to make sure everyone understands how to use those reports correctly. And lastly, for those of you that trade more speculative strategies such as credit spreads, this is something we've gotten a lot of questions about: is do we handle credit spreads? How do you actually trade credit spreads? So we've actually launched a whole service to help you guys better understand credit spread opportunities and how to really utilize credit spreads to their maximum value. And this really leverages some of the quantitative work that we've done on the back end to really find opportunities in the market and present them to you in easy to understand signals that we publish through StockTwits rooms. So I want to make sure everyone also sees what that looks like so that you can decide whether that's something that's suitable for you. And lastly, these weekly educational webinars that we typically do are available every single Thursday, and all the recordings are also available to you afterwards. So I want to make sure everyone understands how to access this educational material. So regardless of whether you're a beginner or if you're an advanced trader and you're just trying to brush up on your strategies and learn best practices, making sure that you know where to go to get your education for OptionsPlay. So those are the things that I want to go over here with you today. This webinar will not take, in my opinion, as long as some of our other webinars, but it'll be about 40 minutes long, where I'll go through all the different services. I'll actually show you each service individually as we go along. And then at the end, we'll open this up for Q&A for any questions at the very end. So my name is Tony Zhang. I'm the chief strategist and co-founder here at OptionsPlay. We started this company about 7 years ago, really wanting to revolutionize the way users experienced options trading. And the reason we did this is because we looked at the current user experience of options trading back then, and we basically said that looking at option chains alone is not good enough in helping users understand strategies, understand where to go about starting. And that's really how we started OptionsPlay. And all the services that we've generated on the back of that follows the same philosophy of trying to make options more accessible to everyone. So I've been running the product development team here. So I've been across all of these products that we're currently going to be launching. That's why I'm going to spend the time here today to introduce you to all of these different services that we offer to help you give you a better idea of how to maximize the value that you get here at OptionsPlay. So let's go ahead and get started. So again, at the core of our technology and the core of our platform is OptionsPlay Ideas. This is the platform that most of you have probably used at this point as either a free trial or as a subscriber. This is a tool that was really designed from the very ground up to give you a brand new user experience of options that took away the option chain so that you're able to visually see starting points, compare different strategies side by side, and ultimately find the strategies that you want to trade. So what I'll do is I'll jump over to OptionsPlay real quick to show that to you. This is the tool for those of you that are brand new to OptionsPlay. Welcome. This is really designed to give you a snapshot data of what you actually need to understand to trade an option strategy. So everything from trade ideas and watch list here on the left-hand side to give you what symbols to take a look at. The middle is a security analysis panel to give you snapshot data to understand what's currently going on with the stock, both from a trend perspective as well as relative strength, so that you can get a quick directional view. And we have a whole webinar just on that alone, including relevant information in the bottom of your screen, such as earnings, dividends, and price action data, so that you can interpret what's currently going on with the chart without having to go through a full analysis report to get a sense for whether you have a bullish or bearish view on the underlying stock. And then this is really where we jump into the crux of what OptionsPlay does for you as for an options trader, which is our trading and income tab. Our trading tab is really designed from the ground up to take the inputs from you as a user, depending on whether you're bullish on the stock and presenting you 3 bullish strategies, or if you're bearish on the stock, presenting you with 3 bearish strategies. And each one of these strategies already represents majority of what most of you trade. And it not only selects suitable starting points for bullish or bearish views on the underlying stock, it also selects expiration dates and strike prices for you. This way, you don't have to pull up an option chain every single time you want to explore a directional view. You simply look at OptionsPlay and we'll start you off with reasonable expiration dates and strike prices so that you can really start exploring and learning. If you're brand new to options trading, this is designed to ease your way into finding option strategies to start off with, and then providing you with a P&L simulator so that you can really see, if I'm bearish on Apple and I think the stock will pull back to about $180, how much money do I actually make from shorting the stock, from buying a put and buying this put spread, where maybe you're not even sure what a put spread is yet, but this really allows you to compare different strategies side by side to really start learning about these specific strategies and seeing how they perform when the stock goes in your favor. And more importantly, for those of you that are brand new, learning how these stocks perform, how these strategies perform when the stock goes against you. So what happens if I'm wrong on my directional analysis? How much money am I putting at risk? Which is a key metric to be looking at if you are a trader. Really important to understand, what are you actually putting at risk? More importantly, in my opinion, than how much money can you potentially make? And this is really what we do here at OptionsPlay, that's designed to make this process as easy as possible for you to find ideal starting points for trading, as well as for those of you that generate income by selling covered calls or cash secured puts, following that same methodology to allow you to quickly find cover call opportunities on Apple or short put opportunities for those of you that sell cash secured puts. And we cover all of these topics in our webinars so that you can learn more about these strategies, what are the best practices, and most importantly, how to implement them using our platform. So that's just a very, very quick overview of the platform itself. And this is the core technology that we provide to all users to allow you to quickly identify starting points for individual stocks, and then understanding how to leverage that into an option strategy, regardless of whether you're trading that stock or you already own that stock and you want to generate some income. So that's just a very quick overview of the platform itself. What I want to dive into next is taking a look at the portfolio functionality. This is a functionality that we launched earlier this year. We are currently making this available so that you can currently see the DailyPlay ideas that I'll cover next. The DailyPlay are the daily trade ideas that we send out to users, and you can use our portfolio tool to track how those daily plays are currently doing. So you get a live tracking of the positions that we send out, and how they're doing. And you can click on any of these positions and instantly see how those positions are currently performing. You can even model what happens if you close out that position or if you want to roll those positions. You can utilize this tool to quickly get a sense for how to manage these positions while we send out daily ideas. So sometimes things move intraday and we may not be able to send out an alert, but you're able to track these positions in real time using this portfolio tool. And this is really why we created it, because a lot of people asked us, how do we track these positions intraday? Since we only send alerts once a day, what if something moves a lot during the day? How do we know when it's time to take profits or when it's time to cut losses? We talk to you guys a lot about rules as to when to take profits and when to cut losses. You can see these positions in real time using our portfolio tool, and this is a great way for you to be able to track our positions and see them in real time. We do plan on expanding this out in the future so that you can upload your own positions, but this is our first take at doing a portfolio using our existing positions to help you guys see these positions. So that's a tool for those of you that maybe if you're brand new, you maybe have not seen the portfolio tool, but this is designed to allow you to track our daily play recommendations, which many of you follow every single day. So with that, that transitions me straight into the daily play reports. And the daily play is something that is extremely popular. Many of you take our emails and our trade ideas that we send out every single day, and many of you trade them. So I want to talk a little bit about what these reports really are. So the daily play is a daily options focused directional idea that we publish every single day. These are based on either a bullish or bearish idea with a specific options trade. So we pick a bullish and bearish a stock. We use a quantitative method using technical and fundamental data to do our security selection on these bullish and bearish stocks. And then what we do is we use OptionsPlay to find the optimal options trade to actually make with this bullish or bearish view. Most of the time, these trades are a debit spread. So if you want to learn more about that, we have a whole webinar just on that alone. And I'll show you in a little bit as to where to access those webinars. And we deliver these ideas to you in multiple ways. Number one, we email it to everyone at 6 a.m. every single morning. So if you're the type of person that checks your email in the morning, I highly recommend you to take a look. We send it out at 6 a.m. every single day. You can also access it through our website at optionsplay.com/dailyplay. For those of you that want access to this, not only is this webinar recorded, it's also, we'll send you the slides. So you don't have to memorize these links. You'll be able to get the slides afterwards. And I just posted that link in the chat window for those of you that want to take a look. And lastly, we offer this as a light box within the platform. So every time you log in first thing in the morning, you'll see a pop-up with these trade ideas. So there's lots of different ways to access these ideas. And it's really important for those of you that are newer to options trading to understand how to utilize these ideas. And this is really why part of the reason why I wanted to do this webinar is because it's one thing to know that we publish these reports. It's a whole nother thing to really understand how to utilize them. And I want to point out a few different things regarding these reports. First of all, I highly, highly recommend that if you're going to utilize these types of research that we send out every single day, please do not just follow these trades blindly. What I mean by that is please do a little bit of research on your own on all of these stocks before you go ahead and place a trade. Because many times it might, when you do a little bit of research on the stock, maybe it's a sector that you don't like, maybe it's a stock that you don't like. You should have some idea as far as what you're trading before you go ahead and place that trade. So I do recommend, if you're going to trade any of these daily plays, do a little bit of research on your own, just so you know what you're trading, you know what direction you're trading in. Don't just enter an options trade without knowing whether we're going long or short. Please do your research. And I always recommend that you use OptionsPlay to help you do some of that research, because sometimes we publish these before the market opens. And sometimes by the time the market opens, things have moved a little. Maybe some geographical, geopolitical event has come out overnight, has moved the markets quite a bit, or maybe the stock itself has just moved a lot at the open. So it's really important that you look at what's changed by the open before you place your orders. And sometimes you may have to adjust your positions accordingly. One of the great things about OptionsPlay is that you can plug in that symbol that we send out, And you can utilize OptionsPlay to find the latest strategies to trade off of that symbol. So if the stock has already moved 3% since we've published it, maybe you want to adjust the strikes. OptionsPlay will show you new strikes to utilize when the market is open 3% higher, and you might want to adjust your trades accordingly. So this is one of the things I want to make sure that everyone understands, that if you're going to follow our ideas, try to follow them based on the latest opening prices. Sometimes things have moved around a little. So when you do decide to place those orders, if the market has not moved and you're trading the same strikes and the same limit prices as we are, generally speaking, on the trade entry of these, we generally recommend that you place limit orders first of all. So that's always going to be our preferred method when you're entering these orders. And we tend to get a lot of questions around, if we tell you to trade an option that's currently trading at $3, where do you place that limit order? Our recommendations is usually placing an order that's usually within 10% of the quoted option premium that we've presented to you. If it's moved more than 10%, maybe you might want to readjust your strikes, or maybe you might want to just move away from the trade because perhaps you're a little late on that trade. So we usually say about 10% of the premium that we suggest is a good starting point for placing a limit order. These trades are typically valid for just 1 or 2 days. So these are not trades that you should place a good till cancel order. These are typically should be entered as day orders if you're going to enter a limit order. And lastly, for those of you that really want to get filled quickly, if you're going to test these things out with market orders, and options is one of the few asset classes, in my opinion, where I would recommend to users sometimes to test out using market orders. For pretty much all other asset classes, I usually shy away from using market orders. But with options, you will find that many times when you place a market order, you get a very good fill. Better fills than if you place a limit order. And I know that's a little surprising, but that's just the way market structure works in the options place. So if you're going to use market orders to test out your execution, and for the most part, if you trade at any of the major US brokers, you will typically get better fills many times on a market order than a limit order. But the only way to figure that out is to test the waters. And I usually tell people, test the waters with 1 or 2 contracts, see where you get filled. Many times you might place a limit order to buy an option at $1 and it'll just sit there. But if you place a market order, you might actually get filled at 97 cents. So you'll actually get filled at a better price using a market order than a limit order. And the only way to find that out is by placing a small contract trade, see where you get filled before you try to fill more contracts. So that's my advice to you if you're going to utilize our daily plays, how to think about these trades when the market opens and where to consider placing your orders when the market does open. Moving on here, that's for those of you that are trying to speculate on a directional move utilizing our ideas. Now, a vast majority of you, actually, I would say about 50 to 60% of you utilize options in a way to generate income. So anyone, and pretty much anyone here that has an equity position in your account, you should consider utilizing covered calls or cash secured puts to generate income. And we publish these weekly income reports for you to help you understand where you are going to find the highest returns across the markets for both covered calls and cash secured puts. And this is something that we send out every single Monday at 10:30 a.m. And just to show you that real quick, this is a report that was published this Monday. What we do is we actually follow the best practices that we teach you on our covered call webinars. We follow the best practices that we teach you on the short put, cash secured put webinars. And we basically scan the S&P 100 markets and see where do we actually have the highest returns across the board. And we sort them for you based on annualized returns. So FedEx and Halliburton this week had very high returns on these covered calls. Granted, FedEx had earnings this week, so if you were trading that, you probably may have avoided that. However, there are plenty of other energy stocks right now that are showing very high implied volatility, which is why you get high returns. And this shows you where you might have some opportunities to get a little bit of edge from a volatility perspective. Same thing on cash secured puts. So look at GE, relatively low implied volatility from a percentile perspective, but very high return by selling cash secured puts on GE. So if this is a stock that you want to own, this is where you can generate a huge amount of return by selling cash secured puts instead of placing a limit order to buy the stock. So when we published this on Monday, GE was trading at $10.40. We were telling you to sell the $10 puts. This was generating roughly about a 31 cent in income, which is 3% of the underlying. So imagine if you can buy GE stock with a 3% discount on top of that. You know, if this is a stock that you wanted to own, that'd be an interesting way to own that stock at a significant discount. So this report really ties into the income tab that we have here in OptionsPlay. So that if you're interested in GE, you might want to type in GE, and maybe the stock has moved a little and you might want to look at separate puts. So here we're telling you to sell the August 2nd $10 puts that expire in 36 days. This allows you to model this out in real time if you want to when you use OptionsPlay. So you can use these reports as scanners, and then once you've honed in on a symbol, you might want to plug it into OptionsPlay and see what the most up-to-date, and maybe even modify it a little. So if you might want to change the expiration date to a different expiration date or strike price, you're able to see the metrics for that underlying expiration and strike price for your stocks in real time. And this is really the goal of these weekly reports, is to just give you a sense for where there are opportunities in the market so that you can log into your account and start taking a look at them. And if you, for certain stocks, if let's say you don't see any opportunities, or maybe they just provide very low returns, you may not have to log into OptionsPlay to take a look, because you know that there's just not a lot of opportunity for that particular stock for that particular week. And again, this is something that we publish every single week. These are cover call and short put ideas on S&P 100 stocks. So we take the top 100 stocks by market cap and we scan for these opportunities. We follow OptionsPlay's best practices methodologies that we teach you during the cover call and cash secured put webinars. And this report now includes implied volatility percentile and implied volatility rank, so that not only do you get a sense for return, you also get a sense for where implied volatility currently sits for these individual names. And again, this is emailed every single Monday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Every Monday morning. And for those of you that want to access this report, you can even bookmark these reports, and I'll send these links in the chat window right now. But like I said, you'll get the recording with the slides afterwards. You can bookmark these links because these links are static every single week. So you don't have to necessarily even wait for the report or wait for the email. You can just go to these links every single Monday morning, and you'll be able to see them if you bookmark those links. And we really try to make these links relatively straightforward to remember. You know, we've made these links so that they're fairly obvious as to what link is what, so that it's easy to bookmark and remember where to access these types of reports. So that covers our income generating strategies for those of you that are selling cover calls and cash secured puts. And for any of you that have ever looked at our webinar for the top 3 strategies for generating income, the third most popular strategy is selling credit spreads. So many of you like to sell credit spreads. Everyone has different reasons as to why they like to trade certain strategies. There are a good chunk of you that really enjoy selling credit spreads. And so we've created a whole strategy around this, and we sell credit spread signals. This is based on the quantitative work that me and my team have done to determine when is it actually ideal to sell credit spreads and what credit spreads to actually sell during those environments. So for those of you that are interested in our credit spread trading signals, we currently have a free 7-day free trial to our OptionsPlay's signals. This is available through a StockTwits room. So just to be clear, this is not a service that's directly offered through OptionsPlay. This is a service that we offer through StockTwits. They offer these premium rooms. The subscription to it is $39 a month, but like I said, right now you can sign up for a free 7-day trial with a 20% discount if you use the offer code 20 off ops right now. And what this provides you is daily credit spread signals. We give you real-time entry and exit signals. And this is a little different from our daily plays because these signals are sent intraday. And we send them by both email and phone notification through StockTwits. So StockTwits has the infrastructure to send phone notifications to you if you have the StockTwits app. We generally recommend about we generally have about 3 to 4 signals a week. And you can learn more at a webinar, which I failed to have in this slide, but I will correct that before I send out the actual slides. We have a whole video so that you can learn more about our credit spread trading signals. We actually have a whole video teaching you a little bit more about credit spreads in general, and then giving you a better glimpse into these actual signals. So like I said, these are provided through StockTwits. And so here's an example of a trade that we published this morning on Kraft Heinz. We sold the July 19th 30.5 by 29.5 put vertical. We received a 45-cent credit. So you get these reports in real time. When we publish this at around noon today, you get an email notification and a phone notification to let you know intraday, here is the trade. You not only get the chart, you also get the trade itself, and you get a link directly to OptionsPlay so that you can see the trade in OptionsPlay, which means that you can manipulate the strategy. You can test that out based on where you think the stock will go. And this really allows you to test out these strategies based on what outlook you may have, and see how these strategies perform before you actually execute these trades. But you basically get this in an email and a phone alert when we generate these alerts intraday, and this happens in real time. Let's jump over. So again, this is for those of you that are interested in selling credit spreads. Again, if you're interested in selling credit spreads, or if you're new to credit spreads, I highly recommend you to first take a look at that video. Learn more about credit spreads before you sign up. But if you're interested in generating credit spread ideas, you can sign up for that free 30-day trial at that link. And we do have a discount code for you to get a 20% discount off of this webinar exclusive, which is a 20% discount for the first 3 months. And after that, it's just $39 a month. So let's go ahead and just a very, very quick overview of what a credit spread is. For those of you that are relatively new to this strategy, you know, on the daily play ideas, we send out primarily debit spreads. These are spreads that take advantage of a big move in the underlying stock. Credit spreads are a little different. They really take advantage of when the stock doesn't move very much. So that's why we've specifically scanned for opportunities where the stock is likely going to reverse by a small amount, but unlikely to, where there's a high probability of it moving in one direction. This trade is short theta, meaning it's short time decay, and it's also short volatility. And there's 2 strategies that you can trade: the bull put spread and the bear call spread. And they are quite different from the debit spreads. So they are limited risk strategies with high probabilities of profit, but they do typically have higher risk than the income that you receive, which is vice versa to what we experience when we're trading debit spreads. So quite different. So for those of you that are interested in credit spreads, I highly recommend you to take a look at this service that really caters to those of you that like to sell credit spreads. And lastly, OptionsPlay education. This is the core of the educational arm that we have here at OptionsPlay. We find that with options, you can have the best tools in the world, but you really need to really understand options, because options are very complex. And we want to make sure that everyone understands the different various strategies that you can deploy, and more importantly, what are the best practices and methodologies off of those strategies. And then lastly, how to actually implement them using OptionsPlay. So we record weekly educational webinars, just like the one that you're on here today. And we really try to cover a very wide variety of options topics, from very beginner, for those of you that are just starting out, learning cover calls, buying your first call and put, and understanding what those strategies mean and how to implement them, to the more complex strategies like credit spreads, debit spreads, hedging strategies. We really try to cover the full gamut. And we do it every single Thursday so that all of these webinars are recorded. Not only do you get the recording afterwards, you also get the slides. So this really allows you to follow along at your own pace afterwards with OptionsPlay on your screen so that you can learn these strategies and learn how to implement them. And we really try to follow the format of teaching you spending half the time teaching you the strategy, but trying to spend as much time as possible also showing you how to implement them, because that's really where we find most options educations fall short. A lot of them talk a lot about methodology and best practices, but many of them do not show you how to implement. And that's one of the key differences of our education, is that we really try to focus our attention on showing you how to implement them using our platform, so that when you finish a webinar after 45 minutes, you actually know how to utilize our platform to deploy those specific strategies for your portfolio. And we have a full video library of all the historical webinars. So for those of you that want to spend some time reviewing things in the past, we make a full video library available to everyone. And we make sure that our playlists are always up to date. So if we do multiple webinars on the same topic many times. So for example, earnings, we have earnings every single quarter. We always make sure that the most up-to-date webinars are available on our playlist. And I just sent a link to everyone. It's our OptionsPlay Learn to Trade playlist, so that you can see the most recent 25 videos that we offer across the different topics that we cover, so that you always have the most up-to-date information on our educational webinars. And for those of you that are brand new, if you're just starting out, we have a crash course to help you guys get started. It's available at our 12-step beginner course, which I just sent the link again into the chat window. So those are the two different resources that you can go to really either jumpstart your options trading, or if you have a specific educational topic that you want to learn more about, to basically look at the updated playlist. And one of the things that we always ask for from our subscribers is also feedback on these educational webinars, to understand how we're doing, what things you'd like to learn about as well, so that we're always catering to the topics that are relevant to what you guys want to learn. And we do this every single Thursday at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. So if you guys have any questions regarding these specific topics, or if there are topics that you want us to cover that you feel that we haven't done already, please send us an email at info@optionsplay.com. We're happy to take feedback and requests for specific topics, as long as we feel that there's other users that would benefit from those same topics as well. But like I said, we really try to do our best to cover the full gamut of various option strategies. And we are trying to do more around trading of options, so that we talk about things like risk management that isn't related to a specific option strategy, but related to options trading in general. We're talking about things like options liquidity and entering option orders and risk management. Everything related around options that are useful for your trading in general. So please send us your feedback. Happy to listen to your thoughts and ideas, so that we continuously cater our education to what you guys are interested in learning. And these are the resources that are available to you. So that goes, for the most part, over the different resources that are available to you as a subscriber here at OptionsPlay. For those of you that do not currently already have an OptionsPlay free trial, you can sign up at the link here on your screen, which I just sent in the OptionsPlay chat window. Just a quick recap. Daily options trade ideas, the daily play that we publish every single day at 6 a.m. You get in your inbox. Utilize them as a tool to help you find ideas, but please don't follow those blindly. Do a little bit of research. It doesn't take very long for you to just do a few minutes of research before you place that order, so you understand the risks that you're taking. For those of you that are learning, keep coming to the weekly educational webinars. We really designed this in a way to help you guys learn more about not only the platform, but option strategies. We publish these weekly cover call and cash secured put scans to help you find opportunities across the market. And we're really trying to provide the most intuitive options trading experience on our platform. And we really teach it to you during our weekly webinars with showing you how to implement these strategies using our platform. And lastly, for those of you that are starting out, please take a look at the 12-step options trading course as a jump starter for you to get a sense for how to go about getting started with options trading, really. I don't have any other way to describe it. So with that, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out here this afternoon. I really hope that this webinar was useful in helping you just understand the full gamut of what we produce for all of you to better understand how to trade and utilize our services. So with that, what I'll do at this point is I'll open this up for Q&A. If you have any questions, please open up your chat window at the bottom of your screen and type in any questions that you have for me or for OptionsPlay, and I'm happy to answer as many questions as I have time for here today. And again, this webinar is recorded, so I'll send everyone both the recording and the slides. I know there was one typo in the slides. I'll make sure that that's fixed before we send it out to everyone. So please type in your questions in the chat window, and I'll answer as many questions as I have time for. So a few different questions here already. Let's see. Bradley saying, on the reports, would you be careful selling an option that shows a high annualized rate of return but has low implied volatility? Bradley, generally speaking, I find that low implied volatility is not a good enough reason to not sell an option, especially if the annualized return on it is good. So in my opinion is that it should not be a reason to not sell an option, because most of the time options actually will have low implied volatility, because if you look at the distribution of implied volatility, it skews very heavily towards the lower end. The higher end actually has very few data points there. So that's my opinion. Jeff is saying, is this recorded? Yes, this is recorded, and I will send out the recording to everyone in about half an hour. Matthew's asking, can OptionsPlay recommend multiple types of strategies, strangles, straddles, strangles, butterflies, etc.? Matthew, absolutely. We offer all of these strategies on our platform. This is something that we may not cover all the time on some of our webinars, because those strategies actually represent a fairly small percentage of actual trading volume. You'd be surprised that strangles, straddles, and iron butterflies represent less than 5% of all trading volume. But if you want to take a look at them, you can take a look at these strategies: strangles, straddles, butterflies, iron condors. You can do all of these strategies just by the click of a mouse on our screens. You can type in any symbol, click on this. You can even change the wingspans, the widths, or just move everything up or down just by the click of a mouse. And it's available to you in your strategy constructor, which is available if you click on modify for any strategy. Jonathan saying, thank you very much. Very informative and great platform, by the way. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Don is asking, what is the status of having real-time quotes? That's a great question. So we are actually currently in the process of integrating a brand new market data provider, which will give us real-time quotes. We expect to have that up in the end of July, early August. Jeffrey's saying, GM had to buy back my GM cover call stock, went too high. I think that's a specific option scenario. So Jeffrey, if you have a question specifically about GM calls, please send me an email at info@optionsplay.com with that specific strategy. I'm happy to take a look at it. Michael's saying, do you show closed positions and where? If so, yes. So we do show it. You can find it at optionsplay.com/dailyplay, which I'll send a link in the chat window. So for example, yesterday we had a closing order on FedEx. So we showed this to you on our OptionsPlay blog. So you can see all the history of FedEx, which was yesterday. We closed out Tyson the day before, after that government probe into their business practices. We sent out a closing trade there. The day before that, we went short NVIDIA, and the day before that, we went short FedEx. So you can see all of these. GLD, we took profits on that last Friday. So you can see all of that here at optionsplay.com/dailyplay. Tom is saying, why are not all open trades listed in portfolio box? Tom, I believe all open trades are. If you find that there are some open trades that are missing, please send me an email and I'm happy to take a look at what's missing. Ed is saying, I'm a newbie. Do you recommend a particular trade platform like Ameritrade? So, we're fairly broker agnostic. I myself trade at TD Ameritrade because I've had my account there for over 10 years. I generally tend to find that pretty much all of the major brokers at this point are fairly similar from an options trading perspective. Commissions are fairly competitive across the board. There are some places that have lower commissions. So depending on how much research you need from your broker, that really determines many times what broker you trade with, because there are a lot of free brokers that offer very minimal customer support and minimal in terms of research, and they are just kind of an execution engine. Other ones like Ameritrade are a little bit more expensive, provide a lot more services and research. So I think Ameritrade is a perfectly fine broker, but there's quite a few that's available out there. Wesley saying, do you guys have a phone number where we can contact you? So Wesley, we do not have a phone number because this is part of how we keep our costs so low, is you can ask us questions directly from your platform. So if you click on the questions ask us button in the upper right hand corner, you can type in a symbol and you can type in a message, and we will get back to you very quickly through email support. And this is really one of the ways that you can contact us very quickly directly from your platform. You can even send us a screenshot. So if you have a question about what you're currently seeing, you can click on this, include a screenshot, and then send it to us directly, and we can answer to you as quickly as possible that way. Let's see. Jeffrey's, Anthony saying, how far out do you go with credit spreads? Great question, Anthony. We go out about 4 weeks out on our credit spreads. We've done a lot of back testing on credit spreads, and we find that going about 4 to 6 weeks out is the optimal time frame. And based on our signals that we generate on the quantitative side, we've optimized that the 4-week strategy is best for us. But we generally find that 4 to 6 weeks is the sweet spot for selling credit spreads. Ben is saying, I have access to the OptionsPlay tool through First Trade. Is there a reduced cost to get your trade ideas and portfolio? Ben, please send me an email at info@optionsplay.com. We can provide a discounted version of OptionsPlay if you are a First Trade subscriber. So please send me an email there. Bradley saying, I must also thank you, Tony. I just finished the Michael Sincere's options book. Great recommendation. Thank you so much. Michael Sincere, I believe, is actually a subscriber to OptionsPlay. That's one of the reasons why, Michael and I have spoken a few times regarding the book itself. I highly recommend that book because I really think he also embodies some of the methodologies and the framework that we like to provide for options, which is trying to make it as easy as possible. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed that book. And again, for those of you that are interested, it's Options. It's Understanding Options, the second edition by Michael Sincere is the book that Bradley's referring to. Matthew and Jeanette, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Casey's, do you play ideas include ETFs and indices? Yeah, so you can type in any ETF and utilize this for trading ETFs as well. So this covers pretty much anything that you can trade here at OptionsPlay. Matthew saying, my second webinar with you and I love it. Currently with Options Alpha, but thinking of switching with you guys. Matthew, I'm really happy to hear that. If you find value in this, thank you so much. I appreciate this. Hopefully this webinar helps you better understand what services that we offer to users. And please, if you have any questions, please send us any questions that you might have. Wayne is saying, I use OptionsPlay through First Trade. I don't see the portfolio tab. That's because you won't be able to get the portfolio tab through First Trade. First Trade only has the version that they subscribe to, which does not include the portfolio tool, unfortunately, Wayne. Jeffrey saying, I want detailed info on how to take profits on vertical debit calls. Great question, Jeffrey. And I answer that question in our video on debit spreads. So you can go to our YouTube video, our YouTube link, which again is in this updated playlist. We have a whole playlist webinar just on trading debit spreads, which is maximizing your profits with debit vertical spreads. So I do talk specifically about rules for exiting debit spreads, and I highly recommend you to take a look at that video if you want to learn more about the rules for taking profits on debit spreads. Jeff is saying, do you have any training on how to enter trades and rollouts, etc.? Jeff, that's actually one of the webinars that's on the agenda for July. So I haven't covered this historically, and I understand that this is a topic that many of you have asked about, which is why it is on the schedule for July. We're going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of entering an order, exiting an order, as well as talking a little bit about rolling a position when it's suitable to potentially roll a position. So I will talk about that in July. So great time to ask about that. Gary's saying, thank you. I'm a member and use OptionsPlay to practice with paper money. Gary, thank you so much for letting us know that. I highly recommend for those of you that are starting out to utilize paper trading. It's a great way to learn more about options trading. And I will say, I hope that you're able to graduate to trading 1 or 2 contracts at a time, trading your first real money account. It is going to change a lot from trading paper money to trading a real money account. But I do always recommend that you start with 1 or 2 contracts when you trade your first account. Tom is saying, Tony, you're the best. I love the way you stay on track and avoid war stories. Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate that. Jeffrey, do you have to buy the call back that you sold Casino the call I bought? Jeffrey, I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you sold a call, you don't have to buy it back unless it's about to be exercised. So if you sell a call and it expires out of the money, you can just let it expire worthless. You don't have to buy it back. But if you sell a call and it's now in the money and you want to avoid having to deliver those shares, then you do have to buy that back. Vishnu is asking which book. It's called, let's see if I can find it real quick. Sorry, let me see if I can just find this book that I'm referring to here. It's this book right here on Amazon, which I will send a link to everyone. It's called Understanding Options, the 2nd edition by Michael Sincere. I just sent a link to everyone in the chat window if you're interested in that book. Serge, thanks, Tony, for the great presentation. Serge, if you have questions about the screenshot feature, please send me an email at info@optionsplay.com. Don, I've been a subscriber for more than a year. These webinars are still among my most valued resource. Thank you so much, Don. I really appreciate it. What is the score/record of the DailyPlay debit and credit spread? So of the credit spreads, we actually publish a report of our credit spreads. We're currently working on a report for our debit spreads so that we can give you live performance reports the same way we publish this for credit spreads. So we are working on that, Serge, so that you can get that as soon as possible. Jeffrey's saying, I'm a member. Great. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for your support. Wayne, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Jeffrey, debit call is naked. Jeffrey, if you don't mind expanding on that, I'm happy to answer that question. I'm just not sure what debit spread is naked refers to in terms of a question. Ralph is saying, I would like to better understand how to sell a naked call and then cover it by buying a call. So this is one of the things that I will cover on my webinar in July on entering and exiting trades. Basically, if you're selling a naked call, that's a sell to open. And then when you buy it back, you're doing a buy to close. So the opening transaction is always to open and the closing transaction is always to close. So if you're selling it first, you want to buy it back, but you want to buy to close out that naked call. I hope that answered your question, Ralph. Are there any other questions regarding anything I went over here today? Jeffrey's saying, I was told to close both calls on a vertical debit call. Yes, if you're going to close out a vertical spread, you have to close out both legs. So both legs will be to close. One will be sell to close and one will be buy to close on a vertical spread. But yes, you would have to close out both legs. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out here this afternoon. I really hope that you guys have found this webinar useful in understanding the full set of tools and resources that are available to you as a subscriber as OptionsPlay. And Ken, thank you so much. I really appreciate the support and participation that you have provided us over the years, coming to us every single week. Daryl, same thing. Wayne, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the kind words, Tom, as well. If you have any more questions, please send me an email at info@optionsplay.com. And like I said, this webinar is recorded and we'll send that out to you in about half an hour. So next week is July 4th, unfortunately, so we won't have a webinar next week, and I will be back the week after, but I will send out the schedule early next week so that you can see what's coming up in July. We have earnings coming up next season in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to have a earnings webinar. I am going to spend some time going over the order entry, which I think is a very critical piece of options trading that, for those of you that are brand new, sometimes we take for granted as experienced traders that entering orders is second nature to us. But for many of you that are brand new, it's actually pretty complex. So I want to spend a little time showing you guys entering orders, what to look for, thinking about bid-ask spreads, open interest, volume, all these things that you're looking at, talking about those things and make sure that those concepts are all clear to everyone. So those are some of the things I plan on exploring in July. So I hope to see you guys after July 4th. I hope everyone has a great holiday, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.